Hi, it's Dave, and welcome to part 4 of our application tutorials for your point validation tool in CATIA V5. In part 4, we're focused on generating a report for our comparative analysis. And as you can see, we are already on the generate report page. So we've skipped right past the importing of points and running the comparative analysis. And at this point, if you have already run a comparative analysis, you will be placed on this page within the application. Within the Generate Report page, there are 4 items of interest. We're going to start at the top and just work our way down. First off, we have settings for our report header, in which we have the operator, which if you have a username on your computer, that will be auto-filled, but you might still need to change it. Part name, it's pulling this directly from the CATIA part name right here. Once again, these are all editable. We do have 2 blank inputs right here. And until these get filled, we cannot generate the report. If you hover over the generate report button, it's going to say, hey, look, I don't have a part number and I also do not have a job number. Now, if your company doesn't have one or the other, maybe you just need to put, not available here. But let's just enter in something for this part number. And then job number, maybe we want to just put not available. Once we've entered values, we have the generate report button intensified. We could go ahead and run the report right now as it is if we want to, but let's go through the rest of these options and see if there's anything else we want to do. Now, over here we have units. Now, this is the units used for the report generation. So this is going to be the units that you are reporting your data in. If your data was originally imported in inches, that doesn't matter. We can report them out in metric or vice versa. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it in inches for this report. And then this is the report axis system or coordinate system. So what this means is if you want to revalue your points based on a new axis system, you can certainly do that. Now, with this part, this model, this analysis that we created, these points were imported with respect to this coordinate system right here, which is the import axis system. That's what it happens to be. But if I were to pick this axis system 3, which is actually a CATIA absolute axis system in this situation, it would report the data, even though imported to this axis system, it would now report it in airplane coordinates for this particular part. So you have some options there. And once again, you still have a pick from CATIA option if you're not seeing the axis system that you want to use. So we're going to keep our data in what I would call local coordinates with the import axis system. And now let's move down to whiskers. So whiskers are a visual aid. It's suggested that you use out of tolerance only. So we can click that, and that's going to take only the points that are red or blue and draw whiskers on those. Obviously, you can uncheck that and you can get whiskers on every single point. It creates a little bit of graphic pollution on your screen. So I would suggest keeping OOT only selected. This option here for length as a ratio of deviation, this is also a nice option. It makes the points that are more out of tolerance have a longer whisker. So it visually aids you in seeing, wow, these points over here are way out. Even though they look like they're on the surface, you can kind of see it a little easier. Okay, if this is deselected, then we can adjust our display length for our whisker. So you can say, well, I want my whiskers to be, 2 inches long or whatever. But if this is selected, it automatically gets calculated. So let's go ahead and build whiskers. And you're going to get a little message here saying, hey, if you have a lot of points, this could take a long time. And what that means really, if you have thousands of points and you're trying to draw whiskers on thousands of points, it's going to take a while. But this is going to be pretty quick if we just run this on the out of tolerance points here. So as you can see, the way these work, these whiskers actually, the base point of the whisker is on the surface. And it shows you then as the whisker points toward the actual point that was measured, it shows you which way the point is deviating from the surface. So in this situation here, this point, this red point, is inside of the solid by that amount. And if I were to measure this, this point here to this point here, that will be the actual deviation that was recorded in the analysis. It's kind of nice on holes because it also shows how point is deviating in which direction from the center line of the hole. So this would be the center line. This would be on the center line. And our point is in this direction. Okay. And you can take a glance and see that, well, this point down here, this one is not too far out of deviation, but this one, wow, that one's far. And you can kind of get a quick representation with that with the whiskers. So that's what whiskers are for. We can hide the whiskers quickly with that, or we can just flat out remove them, get rid of them all. And then you could just, whatever, you could build them again if you needed to, if you wanted to change a setting. Okay, let's move on. We have labels or flags. We have this option here that says build labels on worst deviation per group. If we don't select that, in this particular situation, we're going to have a little bit of a confusing view on our screen after all the labels are built, because it's going to build a label for every single blue or red point. And we can go ahead and do this, and I'm going to show it to you. But it requires a little bit more maintenance as a user, and it depends on what you're really after. If you really just need to know the worst, this is a great tool for you. If you need to know every single point that's out, uncheck that and let her rip. So we have text size. You can kind of play around with this. It's really just up to you, your view with your part. It just depends. So I'm going to set this to 3.5, and my rounding digits, I'm just going to set them to 3. I only need to know 3 digits behind the decimal place in this situation, and we're going to build the labels. Okay, and again, you're going to get a message that's just warning you that, hey, are you sure you want to do this? If you have a lot of points that are out of tolerance here, it's going to build a label on every single point, and that might take a while. Are you sure? So we're going to say yes. And it's going to go through here and build all these points. Now it looks like they're in the wrong spot at first, but then it kind of snaps them out. And then we have the option of just moving these where we want them. So this is where I'm saying it takes a little bit of user patience to go through and kind of place these as you wish. You can place these and then pull on this arrow here to pull them over, however you want, and kind of get them all lined up. So let's just kind of pull these all apart. Let's say, hey, that looks great. I want to use that. Now you could capture an image of this view. So the way to capture an image, and we're going to come back to labels in just a moment because I want to show you a few more things. But in order to capture an image, you simply just need to push on the plus sign here. And in order to get the correct aspect ratio on this image capture, it's important not to adjust the screen size here. The validation software has created a square aspect ratio, and it works best for the report. So we're going to leave the CATIA window as it is, but this is a chance to make any final adjustments or rotations. And notice this message. It says, hey, would you like to transfer labels to the current view? And it reminds you not to adjust the aspect ratio. Now, if I haven't rotated out of the original view that I made these labels in, then I don't need to say yes. I could say no here, and it'll take a picture when I say capture. And you can see that the capture was created down here. You can do a little preview of it just to get a little better view. It's not full size, obviously, but let's take one more. This time, let's rotate. Now notice what's happening. All our labels are kind of moving around like, oh man. So this is where we could get into a little bit different view here and say yes. And these labels will all sure up to the screen. They've become parallel again. So you might need to make a couple more adjustments of where these are. And then you can say capture. All right. I'm going to come over here to another angle. maybe I want to really zoom in on this guy right here. I'm going to say add new, say yes. It's going to snap that normal to my screen. I'll just move these out of the way. Maybe this is the view that I need. So I'm going to say capture. So as you can see, we're getting a couple different captures in here, and you can take as many as you'd like. It's going to toss every single one of them into the report when it's all done. Now, let's go back up to labels and flags. So we can click hide generated labels, right? You can remove the labels, delete them all out, which might be a good solution if you decide I don't want these at this size, or I don't want these rounding digits. And you can also update to current view. So this is kind of the same option right here that you're getting when you push image capture. If I click this, it's going to snap all of these parallel to screen again. Okay, I'm going to remove these. Maybe we want to come in and show that, this point right here is not looking so good. And so we'll take another picture. Take a look at that and say, I don't like that one. Didn't do it for me. So we're going to get rid of it. So we'll select it, because I could select any of these, right? See, they're selectable. So I'll select this view 44. And I'm going to hit the minus sign here, and it's gone. All right, and maybe we needed to see the orientation a little bit different or something like that, and we'll go ahead and yep, looks good. Okay, this is pretty much all you need to know about report generation. I think we've hit through the main options here, and then we just click generate report. And if you hold tight, it'll build your Excel data. And then you have the option to go back and make some changes. We could say try again, which would mean, you know what, I should have taken 3 or 4 more captures. I'm going to do that before I generate it again. Or we could say show my file, or we could just flat out quit. If we say show my file, then it means quit. But before you quit, show me where my file was saved. So it brings up a Windows browser, and it shuts down the application, and it has pre-selected our report. So let's go ahead and open this up, and we should see all of our edits. Okay, job number, we put not available. Here's our part number. Here's all our stuff that we've entered in. It records the CATIA model that was used, records the date, and the units that it was reported in. You can get a quick look at some statistics right here, average deviation, max deviation, a couple other things. So we have a chart here that shows, the blue line is our upper tolerance, and it changes, it goes up and down as we had changed our different visualization settings per group. We set different tolerances for this specific comparative analysis. And then, of course, our red line is our lower tolerance, and then we've got our data sampling falls in between there. So this first tab, this is called the summary tab. And it's meant to be kind of a one pager to get a quick bit of information on the percentage of points that are out, percentage that are in, some basic statistics, and then as many images per page as possible, which it can do 4 per page. So if we actually go to a print preview, this is on one page, and on the next page are our captures. Okay. Now, if we go to the full comparative page, this page is actually in landscape. So if we look at a print preview of this one, it gets a little bit more detailed information. We have the full list of points and their deviations. And then down below that, we have larger views of our screen captures. Okay. We have a larger deviation chart, and then we also have a page that contains every bit of data that the comparative analysis created. Okay, that concludes part 4 of our application tutorials on generating a validation report.